so much. All right. So who was here for Heten's talk? Most people, right? So Hiten is awesome, and after him, I thought it would have been cool. If I knew his talk, this slide would say, how to successfully shit people out or something like that. You know what's weird about that? When he said that, everyone was laughing, but it's like this interesting, uncomfortable laugh where we're all slightly guilty for finding it funny. You know, there's something there. There was something that we actually recorded a podcast right after this where we're just talking about that one sentence and how to fire people in a cultural way. Anyways, so I'm going to talk a little bit about how you define culture and how you treat people when things go really bad and when things are very tough. Because buying ping pong tables and having a great time and giving everybody free pizza and whatever, massages and whatever, that's all cool, I love that. But how the true measurement and test for culture and what kind of a culture you created is when things go really, really bad. So that's what I'm going to talk about. Before I do that, I truly believe that appreciation is the currency you pay the universe with. So with that being said, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And thanks for all the guys that are putting together the event. Awesome job, guys. Thank you so much. All right, I'll tell you a little bit about, so who knows nothing about me? Probably most of you. Just raise your hand. It's the shot of motivation I need that wakes me up. It keeps me motivated. Nobody fucking knows who I am. All right, that's cool. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself so you have some context to what I'm going to share with you as a story later on. So I'm not going to do the whole thing because it would take us hours, but I'm Greek originally, grew up in Germany. Oh, wow, somebody. Yes, one person, you're right. I have culturally, I offer the best that Europe has to offer, you know, the two opposite extremes. I dropped out of high school. I've been an entrepreneur my entire life. None of you would ever hire me for very good reasons. So 8 years ago, I decided to build a tech company. So I sold everything I had, I bought a one-way ticket, and I arrived at SFO asking someone how to get to Silicon Valley. That's how you win. The guy was like, Palo Alto, Stanford? I'm like, Stanford, I've heard of that. Yeah, okay. I'll spare you the rest of my life story. You can find it on multiple places online. But the thing that's relevant here is that I'm going to share a story. I want to give you guys a little bit of context on that. So about three and a half years ago, I started a company called Elastic Sales. And what we did with Elastic is we helped B2B startups in Silicon Valley scale their sales and discover their sales processes. So we had all these salespeople, and we were doing sales for over 200 venture-backed startups. Nobody knew we existed other than CEOs and VCs, so we were kind of one of the best-kept secrets in the Valley. But in the process, we learned a shit ton about sales and about culture. And from day one, we developed this little application, this little piece of software that allowed us to do sales more successfully than others. And eventually, that product got so good that we decided to launch that product. And today, that's all we do. It's a software called Close.io. It's for inside sales teams and really helps them crush it. And we're insanely profitable. We're growing really fast. We're having an amazing time. But the transition from a services business to a software business and from having a shit ton of salespeople that we couldn't use or utilize anymore once we shifted to the software business, that is the story that I'll share with you. Before I do that, I don't just launch companies, I also launch babies. So this is my oldest one, Georgius, and this is my youngest edition. I always say, you know, my wife and I were co-founders, although she's really the technical co-founder, and I'm more of a business and support role type of person in this relationship. These are also the guys why I'm not going to be at the happy hour. Everybody knows Greek people love happy and hours, but I need to go back and put them to bed because that's what I like to do. So let me share the story. That's the main reason why they invited me to this place. Nobody fucking cares about my life story. But I'll share this story, and I could stretch this story out to like 8 hours or to 5 to 10 minutes. I'll try to do the later so we can have more of a conversation. It's going to be more fun for you guys and more fun for me. So here's the setup. So I'll spare you all the details, but for a lot of reasons, at some point, we had to let go of a lot of people. It was just the most kind of logical thing to do. And I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. I had to let go of people before. It sucks. It's the worst thing about entrepreneurship. But I never had to let go of a lot of people all at once. So this was around the time where I got my first baby boy and was not sleeping any night. So I was like really stressed out of my mind. And then weeks and weeks of build up to that event, I was like trying to figure out how could I do this in a humane way? How can I let these people go? Because for one, I didn't want to let them go. They were amazing people. I just had no use for them in this new business. And then I didn't know, how do you do that in a day? Like, what do? Do you bring everybody in one room and go, you're all fired? Or do you have one after the other come in and go, you're fired? Don't cry when you go out, because I want to keep this a surprise for the next person. Like, how the fuck do you do this? And I was like, how the hell do I do this for the people that I want to stay at the company? I was like super conflicted about how to make this happen. And there was no real good, like I didn't feel like I'd figured it out before the day, but I'll tell you what I did that day. So in the morning, I didn't sleep the entire fucking night. Baby was crying. He was like, I'm not gonna make this easier for you. I don't care if you have to fire people or not. So I drive to work and I feel, I've never felt more horrible. I was just like ready to just puke in the car while driving there. I just felt really sick. And then I remembered that one of my employees, a year earlier when I hired her, she said, Steli, I don't give a shit about anything, but you have to promise me one thing before I say yes to the offer. If you ever let me go, you have to buy me a cake and you have to play Bye 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 from NSYNC. I was like, sure, no problem, I don't care. So I'm in the car and I'm remembering this and I'm like, holy shit, I made a promise. And I don't have a fucking cake or NSYNC, so I drive by, I arrive at the parking lot at the office, and I turn around, I'm like, I was like an idiot, I'm gonna go and buy some cake now. So I go to Safeway, I buy some stupid cake, I'm downloading Bye 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 from NSYNC on my iPhone. I'm like, just in case she really wants this, I wanna be able to keep my word, right? So I show up at work, and so what I decided to do was, I decided to have a one-on-one with everyone in the company. It doesn't matter if they stayed or not, just everyone. And I decided not to, I don't even remember exactly how I did the sequence, but it was not like all the people that had to let go first or last. It was a mix. And I was like, it's gonna be fine. I can't, if people go out and start talking, there's some weirdness, that's what it's gonna be. I can't make this unweird. I can't make this great. It's gonna be a shitty day. So we're just like, let's not try to rein in the negative energy. Let's just be honest and transparent about it. So anyway, so I was having these one-on-one meetings, and here's the format of these meetings. People would come in, I would tell them, the first thing I would tell them is that they're not gonna be part of the company moving forward, so I wanted to get that out of the way and not be too nicey-nicey about it. Then I told them why, and then we hugged usually, sometimes people cried. We had like a little bit of time to kind of decompress emotionally. And just to say as a leeway, people were not insanely surprised because we were super transparent from day one. Every week we'd have a meeting with our financials, with what was going well, what was not going well. So it was not like people were like, we will never pivot and our job is perfect. And then the next week, oh, they're now doing software? This is a surprise. That didn't happen, right? So people were kind of prepared. And when they saw there's a day where everyone has a meeting with me, they're like, oh shit, that's gonna be Judgment Day, right? There's something bad is gonna happen that day. So people were not that surprised, but still sucked. So we talked about it, and then at the end, because I have some experience of letting people go, I told them, listen, I want to make it my mission for the next few weeks to help you succeed in life. I wanna stay in a close relationship. I wanna be a friend. I wanna be a resource. But I know the moment you walk out of this door, you don't want to talk to me anymore. You won't return my calls. You won't reply to my emails. You'll just be like, I don't want to see this dude. So here's what we're doing right now. We're going to put a 2-hour time slot in the calendar next week for you and I. I want you to go home. I want you to think about what do you want to do next. Whatever it is, start your own business, get another job, go back to school, whatever the fuck it is, figure it out. And next week we'll sit down and for 2 hours, I'm your resource. And I'll do anything and everything you want to be helpful in whatever it is that you want to do. All right, so we did this, we put these calendar invites in, and then the next thing we did is we put a calendar invite in 3 months from that day for all of us, people who stayed on the company, people that we had to let go, to go for dinner. We're like, in 3 months, let's see what the fuck happened with all of us, right? Let's make sure that we're not just like breaking apart and nobody knows. Let's make sure we come back and we'll check in on each other. So we did that. So I'm going through all these one-on-one meetings, and the last one was with Hugh, the girl that said I had to buy the cake and the NSYNC thing. So I do the talk with her, we talk, we laugh, we cry, we do all that, and then at the end I'm like, listen, I promised you a cake and a song. If you don't feel like it, that's totally cool, let's not do it. But she's like, wait, do you have cake? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, that's awesome. She's like, what about NSYNC? I'm like, all right, I got you. If you want me to play that stupid song, I'll play that song, whatever makes you. She's like, no, 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 no. I didn't say you're going to play NSYNC. I said you're going to dance to NSYNC for me. And I'm like, no fucking way. There's no way I'm going to dance to there's boundaries. This is one of them. Okay, cool, but I'm not dancing. She's like, no, 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 you're dancing. 2 minutes later, there's a bunch of people, everybody that was let go or not, with fucking cake in their hands, eating while I'm dancing bye, bye, bye to NSYNC. There's actually a video of this. The funny thing is I told everybody, there's no fucking video of this. There's like 7 videos of this. And you'll see it. It's super shaky. I'm just showing it to you. There's not much to see. I'm just showing it to you for 2 reasons. One is to prove that this really happened. And then secondly, it's funny because some friend of mine who saw this video was like, Steli, I remember you being a much better dancer. I'm like, motherfucker, it was not about me dancing well. The whole point was for me to be an ass and be an idiot and make other people look good. No, I didn't try to do like some awesome dancing to NSYNC. I tried to be as stupid looking as possible. That was the purpose. He's like, oh, all right, that makes sense. I was wondering what happened with your dancing skills. Nothing. All right, so we'll see if this video thing works. So this is somebody secretly recording this, and everybody's like shaking because they don't want me to see that they're recording. I just try to look as stupid as possible. I don't know what the fuck to do. What? Hey, what the fuck? Now I discovered one. That's all you guys. Obviously, it was not the one that we were watching. There's like multiple people that are like, I need to capture this. All right, so that's my story. We're hiring now, by the way. And before we hire anyone, we always tell people how we're firing people. Just in case you're wondering, this is the worst that can happen to you, some cake and Steli dancing, right? Honestly, if somebody knows awesome people that would be excited to join a company that gives out cakes and dances, then let us know. We're a super small team. We're traveling every 3 months around the world together. That was our last retreat in Berlin. We're just 8 people. We're crushing it. We're profitable. We're growing. We're cool. We're happy. We're amazing. We're everything. All right? So enough of that. Oh, here's another thing. So if you really loved Hiten, you'll like this. If you go to thestartupchat.com, you're going to see our 2 beautiful faces. We just launched a few weeks ago a podcast. Hiten and I, and this happened after we got invited to this. So we were independently invited to this event. And we loved each other so much that we thought we need a reason to meet once a week, and we launched a podcast. Funny thing is today, though we launched 2 episodes a week, today the episode that launched was Hard Times. And it's actually him and I speaking about the worst moments that we ever had as entrepreneurs. One of which was me firing all these people, but he had some really amazing stories. So check it out if you liked his talk and mine. And give us 5 stars, give us a review, and we'll send you chocolate. I'm serious about that. All right. So now let's do the Q&A. As I said, I could stretch this on like all the lessons I learned from like how to fire people and culture and this and that, but I'd rather have answering the specific questions you guys have. So who's going to be the first person to ask a question? Not all at once. All right, we'll have her. She's going to say something that I won't like, but we'll go with it. All right.
Dude, nobody else rose their hand. I was helping you out.
Yeah, you're helping me out. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I appreciate
no
it.
heckling this time.
All right, cool.
Yeah. Okay, so like that's super awesome. Great dancing. So what would you do if you were getting rid of someone, not because like, oh crap, we're just going in a different direction, more so like that person's not working out? How would you handle that?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So less cake and less NSYNC typically. Here's the thing that I'm trying to do, and this is really, really hard. And we were talking about this with Hiten today on the podcast. I'm pitching this podcast really hard. So a lot of people ask me, how do you know when you should let somebody go? And I say, the moment you start thinking about it, that's the moment. Oh, I guess a bunch of people are like, oh, yeah. It's true. The moment you start wondering, will this person work out? It's usually the beginning of the end. The question now is, how long are we stretching this out? And the longer we do, the worse for them. Not for you, not for your business, for them. You're just wasting their time. You're making them fail bigger and bigger and bigger until you have so much social proof that you feel comfortable to go and let them go. But you're giving them a huge disservice. This is so funny. Having both of you like 10 minutes. All right. Okay, 10 minutes, people. And I'm coming back to your question. I think that when somebody's not working out, the best thing that can happen is that you figure that out quickly. If it takes you 3 years, didn't take you 3 years, you're doing your job really wrong. So what I'm trying to do is figure out really fast, because if it's really fast, they're not as bought into the company, the team, their career, their job, the rest of the company's not as kind of committed to it. So that's the one thing. And then the second thing is, don't make it about them. Like, it's not about like, you suck, you're not good enough for us, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, nobody fucking wants to hear this. And also, it's not really true. No matter how much you think that this person is not good. I would ask myself, oh my God, we're so horrible at hiring. Like, if somebody turns out to be like horrible, then I'm like, holy shit, like, who's responsible for hiring this person? Let's fire that person first, right? And that would be me. So I think like taking some responsibility for that, and when you talk to these people, just don't sugar it up, don't make it, don't do storytelling time, treat people like adults, be fast in making that decision, sit down and say, listen, we both obviously wanted to make this work. I don't think it's a good fit. And I don't think I'm setting you up for failure if I keep letting you on the team while you're not succeeding here. So here's what I want to do. And then I would keep the same structure as before. Here's what I want to do. Let me help you succeed. Now that I know you a little bit better, let me help you find a place where you can crush it and be a rock star. Let's work together to make that happen. I'd rather have you somewhere else where you're crushing it than here constantly fighting for your position, constantly wondering what other people think of you. Like, that stress you don't have to have and I don't have to have. So that's it. So make that decision fast, be straight with them, and then help them. Like, truly help them. Anyone and everyone that was part of my company, doesn't matter if you're an intern, doesn't matter what the role is or for how long, even was it just for an hour, you're not part of the family. So I need to figure out a way to make you successful. Right, next question. Yes.
So what if someone is an early employee and a very important cultural kind of touchstone of the organization, and that person operationally isn't working out, but culturally they're important?
It sucks. That's all the wisdom I have for you. It just fucking sucks. Like, that's so true. It happens all the time. Somebody in the beginning is amazing for that part of the life cycle of your business or the company, and they were maybe a generalist, maybe whatever made them really effective in the early days. As the company is, moving on in the journey, that person might become less and less effective, right? So what do you do then? You have somebody who's super important because they were at the beginning there. They're so culturally really important there. A lot of people have deep relationships with that person. But what do you do when they operationally are not doing their job well? You need to let them go. Again, not selfishly, you might want to, and I'm like, selfishly, I will try to sell myself on keeping them on because I'm like, I can't let this person go. It's going to affect everybody else. And there's such a great cultural saleswoman or salesman or like such an important person to like just spread the story and that we're there at the beginning. This is such an important part of fabric of the company. But that's all, see how all these are very selfish reasons. Oh, are they crushing it? Are they learning? Are they growing? Do they bathe in like admiration and positive feedback because everybody thinks they're a rock star? No, right? No. So then they need to go somewhere where they can. And a lot of times, it's so crazy. Here's one thing that I definitely have realized doing this a few times in my life is that no matter where the person is, if you put them in a better situation, like there's so many times where I had somebody that was like, you're not a rock star in my company. And then we found them another business and they were crushing it over there. And I was like, did I miss out on something? Like I started having second thoughts, maybe I should have just kept that person. But no, if I step back, it's like over there with this team, this culture, this kind of part of where their business were, they were able to come in and crush it and to grow. And in my company at this time, they weren't. So you have to let them go because it's the right thing to do, but it's very hard. It's easier said than done. It's really, really hard. All right, next question. There you go. Yeah, I have to point to people? Just tell me that I have that power. I didn't know. All right. I thought whoever has the mic, so I'm looking for who is a person with a question and a mic. All right, sorry, sir.
Steli, you're a fantastic storyteller. This has been awesome. I'm curious if you have any thoughts as a founder in ways that you've intentionally or unintentionally shaped the culture at your company. Like what happened?
Wait. Keep the mic with him.
Sure.
Can you elaborate on the question?
Sure. So I guess I've seen in my experience, founders will have a deep influence on their culture, almost like who they are somehow permeates the company. Have you seen that with Close.io, and how has that changed you?
Yeah, it's like saying, how has you and your wife being the parents of your child impacted the DNA of the child? Pretty dramatically. I mean, yes, I think that, and I don't want to make fun of it. It's just that it's hard for me to take it as a question because it's just a true statement.
Has there been anything you found that like happened in the company that you realized was because of you that then you changed or wanted to change?
So how me changed the culture, or how I see something in the culture in the company that I'm like, I don't like, so maybe I have to change?
Yes.
Yes. It's constantly. Like, I think, so I think that the company's work is that the core DNA starts with the founders, right? They setting the core DNA of the business, and that has a pretty high potency. But obviously, as more and more people join, it's kind of like, yes, these are my children, they have my DNA, but now there's like 10 people that are raising these children. Everybody has influence. We're now making up an environment that's going to shape them in a pretty impactful way. But you're not going to shape their eye color to be different or something, but you're going to have an impact on their understanding of the world, their character, their many things, right? So as more and more people join the company and we're building a village around these children, we all have kind of more and more of an influence, and we all impact that. But it all starts with the founders, and the founders typically will pick people that somehow they find attractive based on who they are. So it starts with that. Now, I think that in general in life, just anything and everything that happens in my life, I ask myself, how am I responsible for this somehow, right? So obviously, anytime I'm frustrated with something in the company, I ask myself, how is that reflective of myself? I heard once somebody say, you can't criticize someone else and be at perfect acceptance and harmony and happiness with yourself at the same time. And that's a pretty scary statement because it's so true. So every time I've learned to, whenever I'm critical with others, to ask myself, am I happy with myself right now? It's just not a single time can I answer that question with yes. It's always like, no. All right, I think they are really doing blah, blah, blah wrong. Do I think that I'm doing a great job in this area? No. All right, motherfucker, then just get your own shit together. But that's so much work, right? This is, by the way, this is my whole, I was telling this before having children, I still stand by it. The whole point of like how to be a good parent, live a fucking good life. End of the story. Like, work on your problems, your fears, your issues, live a good life, get your shit together, and your children will get their shit together. There's nothing you can say to them, oh, you have to, attack this fear and grow, but I won't do that with my fucking life, right? That's not gonna work. So I think that constantly everything is a reflection of who you are, and you can make a difference. And as the team grows, that goes down. It's watered down a little bit, but it's still really, really strong, I think. Yeah. Let's try to get another one or two questions. I'll be briefer with my answers. Yes.
So I wanted to ask you about firing in a slightly different context. In the context of a nonprofit where the employees are volunteers and have wavering bandwidth, and at times they will really come through and they will perform, and then at times they're going to vanish and you can't rely on them, and then they'll come back. And what do you do there?
When you want to let them go?
Well, yes. So one, because they have inconsistent bandwidth and they're volunteers, they're unpaid, there will be times when they're a lot more engaged and performing, and other times when they're not, and it's really hard to get through to them at those times. So do you just decide then that when they're not performing that's the right time to let them go? And then also, how do you do that? Do
you wait for a down cycle? No, I mean, here's my advice to this. First of all, I would have to decide, what do I expect of my volunteers? Like, what's the true expectation? And then I would communicate that with them. And if my expectation is, I don't care what your life is like, anybody who volunteers here does this, then that's the standard. It doesn't matter if they're volunteer or not, because that's what you pitch them on, and that's what they subscribe to when they join your team. Now, if you think, well, I have to let people have ups and downs because they're volunteering, and that's the way that I'm going to build this organization, then I think, again, whenever you feel like this person's not working out, it's a little harder. It might feel a little harder because you're like, they're volunteering and I'm letting them go. They're here for free. I can't, right? That sucks. Like, how do I do this in a humane way that's not like, you're worth less than free to me? Yeah, less than that. I mean, it's hard, right? But again, you have to go back to like, are they succeeding? Now they're coming here and they're not with their families or doing something else, and they're failing, and you're allowing them to hang around, failing longer and longer and longer. So it's your responsibility to help them go volunteer somewhere else where people think they're a rock star, where they're appreciated, and where they really truly make an impact. So whenever you think this person's not working out, you have to sit down, tell them about it, and then find them and help them find a better place. All right, and I saw it twice. I think that means that it's truly the end. But there's people that are like, we don't care, we still have questions. So I'm going to be respectful of the amazing Culture Summit event people and call it the end here. But it doesn't have to end with this. You guys can send me an email, Steli@Close.io or @Steli on Twitter. Ask me your questions there. Let's keep the conversation going. You guys are awesome. And enjoy the happy hour. Have extra drinks for me.